Vancouver opens its classrooms to educators from across the U.S., the teachers, students, and technology they witnessed. Plus, in sports, it's all about wins and losses, how a local athlete is overcoming one of the biggest losses of his life. And a look back at Vancouver's World War II school boom in our flashback. All this on today's Snapshot. Welcome to the show. I'm Elena Buller. Vancouver Public Schools host a visit from some of the nation's top educators. They wanted to see how Vancouver students are using technology in the classroom. Let's take a closer look in our snapshot. The National School Boards Association chose Vancouver for a national site visit, making the district the first in the nation to be chosen 3 times for this honor. More than 100 educators from across North America came to Vancouver in May for 2 days of tours and presentations. The event began at the Bates Center, where attendees learned more about the district. Then they loaded up on buses, anxious to get to the first stop on their tour.
Well, we're hoping to learn, quite a bit about the whole shift in the culture of the district and the partnerships with the community to be able to create the vision for our entire community about increasing our technology availability for all of our students, because we want to prepare them for the future, not for yesterday.
They had 9 tours to choose from to see different examples of technology and learning in action. These included all levels of school, from elementary to high school. Joining me now to talk about the NSBA visits are Lisa Gresseth and Mark Ray. Thank you guys for being here. Before we get too deep into each tour visit, let's talk about the big picture. Why is this such a priority for the district?
Well, our mission is to prepare students for their future, and we really see technology as an important 21st century tool to be able to prepare them for college's career and life.
Okay, and why did you guys want to host an event like this?
Well, getting to this point, we've had to rely on a lot of other districts to find out, what some best practices are. And so this was an opportunity to kind of not only connect with other districts, but also share some of the successes that we've had. So it was
share the wealth.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, well, let's take a look at the first visit. Bright and early, visitors were off to Vancouver iTech Preparatory, the district's STEM school. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. iTech Prep will eventually be grades 6 through 12, but for now, it's just 6th, 7th, and 9th grades, split up over 2 campuses. The middle schoolers are housed at the JIM PARSLEY CENTER. Visitors saw examples of the school's project-based learning and innovative approach that veers away from lectures and encourages students to take a more active role in their learning. iTech Prep is also pioneering a one-to-one laptop program to extend the school day for students.
On how to use it, that would be very helpful as well.
The school's high school campus is located at WSU Vancouver, where visitors saw several examples of project-based learning. First, a science classroom.
Me and Katie here are the heads of this water testing division that we're doing here. We're testing water, and we're going to bring all our data to a watershed conference that's going to happen May 24th. And this is all the equipment that we use to test data. Here we have our chemical testers, which this one tests ammonia, which is how much alkaline gases are inside of the water. This one tests nitrates.
Either a stentor or a cella.
Water testing was just one of several projects demonstrated in that classroom. In the next stop on the tour, visitors saw technology projects. A commercial technology company selected this freshman to help develop its software.
I write C++ and I'm able to design apps. Currently I'm just working on a mouse emulator, so I can move my hand up to the screen and my mouse will follow my finger, so I could click an icon and drag it somewhere, move windows around.
He's excelling, in part because he's engaged in his work.
I just think it's going to be the future of technology.
The demonstration left visitors quite impressed.
Some of the work I saw the students do was really work. I mean, I've seen people hired to do it in almost the same kind of a project, so congratulations to that.
I was really impressed by how students are taking technology that is not even in the public domain yet, and they're able to create and develop and just think at a much higher level than we can give them in a traditional classroom.
Okay, so obviously everybody's proud of what's happening at iTech Prep in the first year. We just saw, a lot of that. Can you kind of expand a little bit about what happened this first year and why it was so successful for you guys?
Sure. In the first place, there was quite a bit of work that went into developing professional training for teachers around how this school is different than other schools in terms of project-based learning and what that means about the kind of learning that's provided. But as you can see in the video, the other significant piece was one-to-one, in which every student received a laptop. And this was one of our first comprehensive efforts to deliver one-to-one, so we've learned much from that. But what it enables is students to access their learning at school and away from school. But
so they
also,
actually get to take them home?
Exactly, yes.
Okay,
they take
wow.
them home, and they can access experts in the field, which really contributes to the kind of learning and demonstrations of learning that you saw in the video.
I mean, it seemed like everybody was really impressed with what was going on. So project-based learning, let's talk a little bit more about that. How does that work? It's a departure from your traditional sitting in the classroom taking notes.
Well, project-based learning is really about engaging the learner and connecting with people outside of the classroom. And so iTech has done a lot connecting with universities and specialists in the field and connecting the learning to real-world problems and challenges. And so for students, that's much more relevant to them. They're able to see how that impacts their local community and how it might impact the global community. And so it's a lot more real. And
a little more hands-on.
Absolutely.
Visitors to the JPC campus of iTech Prep also got a chance to check out the IT department, the people and facilities who keep the district online. They toured the district's server room as well as the TV studio we're in right now. In the next leg of the tour, visitors chose between Hough Elementary and Discovery Middle School. Hough Elementary, home of the Hawks, is also home to effective classroom technology. Visitors saw how teachers are getting full engagement with students using Mobies, or writable tablets that connect with the classroom projector. In another classroom, students use iPod Touch devices to prepare for state testing.
So it was good to see that kind of engagement in what could be a pretty boring activity.
Finally, in the special education classrooms, visitors saw how students with communication disabilities are able to overcome barriers with iPads. Special software allows the students to let teachers more easily know what they're thinking, which leaves more time for instruction. Meanwhile, at Discovery, students also use iPads, this time in an English class. Students evaluate each other's work to find ways to improve. In another class, students learn how to use Microsoft Office products. They chose one application, in these students' case, PowerPoint, to demonstrate how all of the other applications work.
No, I use it for other classes. I use it for my English and World Studies class, just to review stuff that we've done in that class too.
So that was a great demonstration about how kids are not just learning to use technology, but they're learning it to better themselves in certain subjects. Can we talk a little bit about, it's easy to picture high school kids, older kids using this kind of technology. How did you get younger students to use it and use it successfully?
Well, I think one of the keys at elementary level is hands-on, and if you noticed in the video, there's a lot of touch. A lot of the classrooms, well, actually all the classrooms now have standard classroom technology, which provides students and teachers with interactive whiteboards and projection capabilities. We also have Mobies, which allows students to participate regardless of where they are in the classroom. So it's really kind of about building interactivity and allowing the students to literally get their hands on with respect to their education.
Great. And we talked a little bit, or we saw a little bit about special needs classroom using the iPad, special needs students. How is this really helping them?
It gets back to some of the things that Mark just talked about it being able to interact with each other and being able to be fully engaged in learning. So in those classrooms, most of them are serving students with communication disorders, which means that they're pre-verbal in some cases, in other cases nonverbal. And by putting apps on this iPad that allow them to choose words and construct sentences, what we're finding is that it really unlocks the potential of students to not only learn, but simply to express how they're feeling or what they're thinking.
So really
moment.
opening up communication lines and getting things done. Okay, great. The final stop of the tour was at Vancouver School of Arts and Academics. Just like the name says, visitors to VSAA saw both the arts and academic side of the school. Upstairs, a student demonstrated his senior project, a time-lapse photography rig. Nearby, music students show how they create original songs and capture them digitally. Video production students demonstrate filmmaking techniques. And in the Durst Theater, the stage crew shows the complicated software and algorithms that go into show lighting.
Yep. The paper over there is a lighting plot, so it shows where all the instruments are hung, what channel they're going to be patched into back in the dimmer room over there, and then the computer over there has their soft patching, which is done through the board, and they jump around depending on what you want the dimmer to tell them to do.
In a science classroom, a teacher shows how handheld responder devices give students and himself instant feedback on their learning. Other students collect data in a chemistry experiment with fire outside. At the end of day one, we asked these visitors from Canada for their impressions of what they'd seen so far.
I think what I noticed is that the district is not scared to take risks. They're putting gadgets in hands of kids and teachers and hoping that the outcome will be desirable. And what I've been hearing is that risk is paying off.
So even though VSAA is a art school, they're really embracing technology here. I mean, how does that work?
Absolutely. It is arts and it's academics, so you can see how the arts and the academics are woven together. But then what is unique about that program is the way that technology has been brought in to really extend the kind of learning that they can do, which is so much more like it is in the real world. So you see those examples throughout the video clip.
I mean, some of us might be, I'm blown away by some of this stuff, and it's really on the cutting edge here, the technology they're using.
Well, the great thing about what VSAA is doing is they're using industry standard technology. So while we might be just totally blown away by it, in the marketplace and in the industry, that's what they use. And so the students are using real world tools, and in the same way that iTech is connecting with those real world connections, so is VSAA.
All right. Day 2 of the NSBA visit began at Skyview High School. The visiting educators got a warm welcome at Skyview as students and the Skyview Stormbot's traveling trailer met them at the front door. Inside, students showed how they're learning to design three-dimensional items using professional-grade software. Skyview now has a 3D printer, cutting-edge technology that allows their designs to actually become reality.
And so what this machine does is it takes whatever plastic we feed into it in a special tray, and then it literally lays out, melts down that plastic and lays it out using the dimensions that the student put onto the computer. And so we need to make sure that the students have dimensioned everything correctly so all the parts can fit together. And it's really nice, and the kids can learn from it.
In the video game design class, students show how they combine art, computer programming, and math in practical setting.
It's a long process. It's usually best to have multiple people. The programming language we're using in this class is C++.
The finished products can be played on Skyview's arcade machine. Finally, the pride of Skyview's SMT program, the Stormbot's robotics team, shows off its work, a competition-level robot. The team competes against other high schools in events in Portland and Seattle. The robot has to complete specific tasks and is built and programmed by students. The demo for these visitors involved tossing a frisbee. So Skyview's really been leading the way in the district for this type of STEM learning, correct?
Yeah, Skyview was a SMT magnet, has been a magnet for over a decade now, and they've really kind of laid the foundation for science, math, technology, and engineering learning, really district-wide, and it's great that that's expanded to iTech, and it's also happening at the middle schools at many of our locations. So it's great. It's really about pioneering and connecting students to some of those real-world applications of technology.
One thing we didn't see in the video was the Bring Your Own Device program. How is that working at Skyview, and why do they have it and nobody else?
And we affectionately call it BYOD.
Yes.
And Skyview was one of our pilot schools, one of 3. So in another way, they are helping us pioneer through new uses of technology. At this point in the district, Bring Your Own Device is enabled at all of our secondary schools for both staff and students, and it's enabled at the elementary school for staff. We see it, however, as the gateway into our larger plan, which is to provide one-to-one. So again, one device per student to all students in grades 3 through 12, so that there's equity, that there is an evenness of the technology and what kinds of applications can be put on it, so all students have access to excellent learning tools.
So if one student doesn't have something at home to bring, that's fine.
Exactly.
Okay, great. And programs like the video game class or the robotics team, those are really hands-on, and Skyview's doing it really well. How is this benefiting kids?
Well, the thing that's great about Nate and Kim, who do those programs, is that they realize that it's okay to have fun at school, and they really have engaged students that would traditionally might struggle in school, or may wonder about, is school really for me? And so they make it fun, they make it engaging, they make it connected to real world skills that will be useful after they leave high school. So it's really about engagement and making sure that the students have something that they look forward to when they get up in the morning.
And inclusion, engagement and inclusion, kind of getting everybody involved. Okay,
Absolutely.
that's just awesome. And the final visits of the tour took educators to McLaughlin Middle School and King Elementary. King Elementary School greeted the buses full of visitors with rhythm, provided by the one-of-a-kind drumline. After that thunderous hello, students demonstrated for their guests how they use iPod Touches to boost reading and math skills. Over at McLaughlin, visitors learned how iPads are used in classrooms to boost reading comprehension. Students write, draw, and collaborate to broaden their understanding of books. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about what's going on at King and McLaughlin.
Well, King was one of our first pilot sites, and they piloted the iPod technology early in 3rd grade. And then once we were through 3rd grade, we advanced to 4th and 5th so that students who had that technology could use it in the rest of their years there. And we based it on a model that we had learned about from Canby, Oregon and Escondido, California. So it was really a great learning opportunity, but turned out to be very beneficial for the students and the teachers as well.
So it's working out.
Yes.
Pilot programs play a big role in how you're going to spend your money. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, and actually Mac is another good example of a pilot. It was one of the first places that we put iPads in the hands of students and teachers, and we were able to learn a lot. I mean, that was a great opportunity when we put devices in the hands of fantastic teachers. Great things happen, and Monica and others at Mac have been able to really kind of guide us in terms of our decision making. We started off with iPods, and we've moved to iPads, and we've really learned a lot about what's necessary for a successful implementation and what really impacts student learning. And thanks to Mac and King, we feel like we're really on the right track.
And so these guys were great examples for this tour.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay. The final stop for the visiting educators was to the Fort Vancouver Artillery Barracks and the Red Cross building. There, Vancouver teachers gave more detailed instruction on how their peers in other districts can incorporate technology into their own lessons. Okay, well, it seems like a really successful visit. Guys, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, it's kind of interesting because in meeting and talking with the people that came to NSBA, one of the things we realized is that very early on in the process for us, 5-6 years ago, we were the ones asking all the questions. And because of the pilots, because of the work of our teachers and the leadership that we've been able to put in place, we're starting to find some answers. But the irony is that once those answers are formed, we realize that there's more questions. And so in connecting with these other folks from around the nation, we have a network now in place so that we can keep conversations going with other educators that are going to have similar challenges, and hopefully together we'll be able to find some answers.
Lean on each other.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the significant things is when you look at the video snapshots, and if you happen to be on the tour, you sense the engagement of the students. You sense how excited they are and how very connected they become to their learning, and how very much their learning demonstrates things that we might be doing as adults in the work world. So that sense of being ready for their future is deeply present. And it's so exciting to see that, because as adults we may use it more for productivity. Technology gets us our reports done and such, but when you see it in the hands of students, you really realize what it can do. And for us, this is all about the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the kids, and it sounds like things are just going phenomenally. So great. Good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The event's keynote speaker was Dr. Mark Edwards, the superintendent of the Mooresville, North Carolina School District. He was named the National Superintendent of the Year for 2013, and he had lots to say about the use of technology in education. Stay tuned after this episode to hear highlights from his speech. Time now for our Snapshot profile. Today we meet Colby Gilbert, the Skyview student athlete who's overcoming the biggest loss of his life. But as you'll see, his face never stops smiling and his feet never stop moving.
Simply put, he's the best athlete I've ever coached.
Skyview cross country coach Chris Erdman doesn't mince words when it comes to his star runner Colby Gilbert.
Some athletes have the natural ability and then they can just, ride that, work kind of hard and have a lot of success. Colby's one that had the natural ability and he compounded it. He took it to a new level with his work ethic.
Colby runs a lot.
I run the 1600 and the 3200. That's what I ran at state, but I also did the 800 and 400 like in league meets. I also do the 4x4 once in a while, just for fun, but mainly it was just the mile and 2 mile. I also do cross country, which is a 5K.
He took 3rd in state in cross country and the 3200 meter, along with 9th in the mile, but you can't really reduce Colby to his athletic achievements.
Some distance runners tend to be introverted. That's not Colby. He's got an outgoing personality.
That personality made him a leader in the classroom, student government, and in sports. But behind the big smile and quick jokes, Colby dealt with the unthinkable in February. His mother, Carolyn, died suddenly as a result of complications from breast cancer.
We talked about it a little bit like 4 days before, then all of a sudden she's in the hospital. It was a little sudden and it was tough, but I don't know, she's in a better place now and she's not, having to fight through sickness.
Before her passing, Colby's mom demonstrated one of the most important traits she passed along to her son: perseverance.
Carolyn would come to as many cross-country races, track meets. She was always smiling, always encouraged every athlete out there. So she was wonderful support and did everything she could to let life go on for the kids and the family.
Throughout her illness and after her death, Colby found support in family, teammates, and coaches.
They were great. They were always super supportive, and there was other times when my dad was at work and my mom, she couldn't come get me just because she felt really bad, and my coaches would drive me home and just little stuff like that, or pay for my dinner once in a while and all that. They were great.
Not surprisingly, he also found solace in what he does best.
Running's kind of what kept me together, I guess. Little stuff like homework or keep my room clean, just like the normal day-to-day stuff to do.
Going step after step with nothing to think about but the track ahead helps Colby move forward.
It's kind of like you're meditating. That's kind of why I really like it. It's just kind of relaxing, and if you're having a bad day or you're having a good day, it's still just fun, or you get out and you enjoy the nice day, and then if it's really bad, you still kind of like it because it's super soaked and all that stuff, and I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of meditative.
Now that he's graduated, Colby takes the next big step of his life: college.
I'm going to the University of Washington on a scholarship for track and cross country. Yeah, I'm excited to run. The top 5 guys in the 3200 are all going, so it's going to be, we're going to have a fast team in a couple of years. So.
And going into college, that trajectory has been just up through all 4 years, and it's just going to continue going up. He's going to be a great addition to the Huskies, so they should be glad they've got him. I think they are.
Colby plans to study engineering, and no matter where life takes him, he's going to get there quickly and with a smile. It's time now for a Snapshot flashback, a look back into the history of Vancouver Public Schools. Today we go back 70 years to World War II. The Kaiser shipyards were building vessels for the war effort, and the need for workers drew families from all over the country. The district's student population nearly doubled in just a couple of years, and to keep up, Vancouver built a high school, a middle school, and 5 elementary schools. Of those, only McLaughlin Middle School, Fruit Valley, and Marshall Elementaries remain, although all of them have since been rebuilt. If you want to learn more about the district's history, check out the historical timeline. You'll find it on the bottom left-hand side of the district's homepage. That's www.vansd.org. We're just about out of time. Stay tuned to hear highlights from the keynote speaker Dr. Mark Edwards from the NSBA site visit. Thanks for watching. I'm Elena Buller.
I think we're just now on the edge of this huge opportunity nationally to put together digital resources, a sense of community conviction about how we can play that will change the work and the lives of students and the quality of schools all over the country. One, precision. We have detailed information about students that we could have never had without the digital resource. A level of detail that not only improves the quality of teaching, but makes sense in terms of the notion that we used to reteach something that a couple students needed to an entire class, or the idea that we would guess about what a student needed. Now we have a level of precision for intervention. Another implication, competency is evolutional. Our very best teachers 5 years ago would not even be in the top 10% had they not grown. So we see competency. Competency is a moving target, but for teachers, for principals, for superintendents, for school board, for service providers, and we have to embrace this notion that our competency must evolve, and that it's both self-directed, organizationally directed. Creativity and relevance drive productivity. You know, today, again, I saw so many examples of this creativity, that students are on fire with the excitement of building something, creating something, understanding of how that works, the tenacious focus that requires, and that's been a key to some of our work. Connectivity and collaboration hum. You know, one of the things I always get excited about when we have visitors, they'll say, well, you know, the classrooms are noisy, kids are talking, they're moving, they're in the halls, they're everywhere, and yet when we change classes, it's interesting, there's a calmness. And part of it is the students have had time to talk, to move, to do all the things that they should be doing. But for years we would tell students, sit still and be quiet. Now my wife and I have a 13-year-old, and there are two things he does not do well: sit still and be quiet. So there was some personal motivation in this as well, because we knew he would hum in that activity. Personalized learning, and then online gives new voice. I saw this earlier this week in a classroom, and a teacher was showing me that a blog that a student had entered, and she said this student would never, ever have the confidence to speak in class, but she speaks through the blog. And not only is she a leader now, but she is a difference maker with other students. And so I think that what we're seeing, that the digital resource is changing the context of how we communicate, how we interact, and the possibility for students, both at home and at school. And we also use the term, and we're all in. And by all in, that means that we really do believe that everybody has to be committed to this. Every employee, every teacher, every parent, and the community. And we've worked out, will we ever achieve that? No. But are we moving in that direction? Yes, we are. And there's this sense of optimism, opportunity. And I really do believe that building that sense of all in, and some of the things that we've really focused on, building a culture in terms of embracing innovation, both from students, from teachers, principals, support staff, and embracing innovation, that is part of the work of everyone. Todd, you know, there's so many great things going on all over the country in public education. And it really bothers me that there seems to be this constant thread bashing public education. And I'll have to tell you, today, in every school and in every classroom that I visited, I was not only inspired, I was motivated. In fact, seeing the work of teachers and principals and students, this great, great work going on, we should celebrate it every day. And I hope that every person here, that when we hear anyone that comes up with this ridiculous notion that public education is not working, that we beat it back and say that is wrong, that's incorrect. We have so much to be proud of, and I'm a firm believer that the foundation of democracy is public education, and we should stand strong for it.